Hello and welcome over to the channel, guys. This episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. I'm gonna tell you guys there is a bit going on in the Middle East and just a tad bit going on when it comes to Russia and Ukraine. Now, Tardio is going to be doing a little bit of diving for you guys. He's been going testicle deep in some stuff today about what is happening.
Pretty testicle deep. And unfortunately, Rob, I think we have to start the folks off with a video of Joe Biden announcing what is supposed to be a ceasefire. He calls it an end of the war. And Netanyahu kind of echoes that a little bit, but his statement also gets a little bit more dark once you actually look into it. So unfortunately, let's just go ahead and bore the people, get the boring crap out of the way, which is going to be Biden talking. I swear to you, I'm not going to have it happen for very long, but we'll get it up just so you can hear him talk. So let's make that out so you don't have to take it from me. Here's Joe Biden.
Today, I have some good news to report from the Middle East. I just spoke with the Prime Minister of Israel and Lebanon. I'm pleased to announce that their governments have accepted the United States proposal to end the devastating conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. I want to thank President Macron of France for his partnership in reaching this moment. For nearly 14 months, a deadly conflict raged across the border that separates Israel and Lebanon.
So now he's going to ramble on for a really long period of time. This whole speech takes like 10 minutes. He talks about the people of Gaza. Israel always has its right to self-defense and several other things that go into it. I don't really think it's worth spending time listening to Joe Biden ramble because at one point he says it's brought an end to the conflict, but it really didn't. I mean, it's supposed to, but it didn't. And this is supposed to take a long time. Like they have to stick to this. And then Israel's going to start pulling back within like about 60 days, right? Like over this period. Right now, all right, we have the Lebanese army moving south, supposedly to go enforce UN Resolution 1701, south of Litani. So Netanyahu ended up giving a speech today, and this is his transcribed version. I haven't seen one in English, so I just figured I'd go ahead and put it out here for you. Now, there's two main things to understand from Netanyahu's speech, because he also gave one, not just Joe Biden. Netanyahu said, first, the head of the octopus, Iran. We destroyed major parts of Iran's air defense system and missile manufacturing capabilities, and we demolished a significant component of their nuclear program. I am determined to do anything needed to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. That threat has always been my top priority and is even more so today. And then he goes back a little bit deeper. He goes on talking about Gaza and, everything else, but all the way down here at the bottom, he says, why should we have a ceasefire now? He said it's for three main reasons. The first reason is to focus on the Iranian threat. And I won't expand on it. Rob, what do you think that means when he says, I'm not going to expand on the Iranian threat?
Okay, so Iran has been supplying Hezbollah their weapons for an ungodly amount of time, forever, pretty much since the beginning of Hezbollah. And the routes lead through Syria, as most of us do know. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to shift their focus. I mean, Lebanon is where there's a big chunk of Lebanon, a big chunk of Hezbollah inside of Lebanon.
Right.
But have they come to the agreement that maybe they should cut the head off the snake and maybe worry more about Iran's ability? Because maybe they're the ones that are more than likely causing more of the issues in the entire Middle East.
They're the ones feeding Hezbollah. Like the only reason Hezbollah is not hungry for weapons right now is because Iran's been feeding them, arguably, potentially Russia, based on what's over there. But it could be Iran feeding, Hezbollah Russian weapons. And
they're probably a little bit worried about the whole nuclear side of things, right?
So that was my question. Is he talking about cutting the head off of the snake, i.e. cutting off the military arm? Or is he the IRGC weapon supply funding stuff to Hezbollah? Or is he talking about the head off the snake, cutting off Iran's head and just getting rid of them because they're the main issue? It's a really good question. I don't truthfully think we're going to get an answer to that, but we got a little bit of an echo going to that today. When, like you said, we have a lot of weapons and stuff that are coming out from Iran, correct? IDF about 2 hours ago. Right now it's 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we'd be like 2:30. And so all these announcements end up coming around 1. So about an hour later, the IDF goes and they release this video. Really, really interesting.
Ever wondered how the Iranian regime supplies and funds its terrorist proxies across the Middle East? This is Iran's covert smuggling route via Syria to arm Hezbollah in Lebanon. Similar to a cartel, Hezbollah's Unit 4400 is responsible for trafficking weapons and developing numerous strategic smuggling routes along the Syria-Lebanon border in cooperation with Syrian authorities. Throughout the years, thousands of trucks and hundreds of aircrafts have illegally imported thousands of missiles and additional weapon components into Lebanon. This has led to extensive IDF operations being conducted to target Hezbollah's ability to expand its weapons arsenal and to prevent the terrorist army from launching additional attacks against Israeli civilians. Over the past couple months, we had dismantled the chain of command of Unit 4400, including eliminating the commander, his successor, and a senior official. Military infrastructure at the Jizya border crossing in the northern Bekaa Valley and at the Masna border crossing, fuel depots belonging to Hezbollah's logistical expansion unit located deep in Lebanese territory, Hezbollah weapons storage facilities and headquarters in the area of Al-Qusayr in Syria, a strategic tunnel built that crossed from Syrian territory into Lebanon, and a storage facility in Dakhia used to store weapons and equipment transported from Syria into Lebanon, have all been recently struck. These routes are fueling terrorism against our civilians. We will continue to dismantle all infrastructure that was created to harm our civilians on all fronts and keep our civilians safe from Iran's terrorism.
So what that said to me, Rob, and I think probably what it says to you as well, is your initial assessment of they're going to go after the weapons supply is absolutely correct. I think that's 1000% correct, that they're going to not maybe so much strike inside of, Lebanon, but they're definitely going to continue to strike in Syria and continue to bomb the crap out of them. While they might be home based in Lebanon, there's a crap ton of Hezbollah that remains inside of Syria. And all of those weapons smuggling routes and everything like that are going in there. And the question is if Israel continues to bomb Hezbollah inside of Syria, are they going to respond? Very, very good question. Now, we have a report that ended up coming in not that long ago either. Again, ceasefire was supposed to be coming out at 4 a.m. local time over inside of Israel, Lebanon. So at the time of us taping this, you got about like an hour or two to go. Okay. But like an hour after that happened, we started to get reports of surface to surface missiles being shot from Lebanon and into Israel, and then a large barrage going back from Israel into Lebanon. Check this crap out, dude. So here we have our interceptions taking place over northwestern Israel. And it wasn't just that took place today. They also had like significant bombing that was taking place. A significant rocket attack also that took place. Lots of rockets that were flying early on in the day. And again, all of this was supposed to happen beforehand. Hezbollah even went so far as to put this out. And this was via Israeli Pulse News. There we go. Now that I got that sucker up, check that out. What this says is that at 2000 would be last night over inside Israel. Now it's like the wee morning hours, that there was going to be a very significant attack that they wouldn't be able to forget, something of that nature. And so Hezbollah is ramping up rhetoric the day before a ceasefire.
What are the chances that they actually last the ceasefire lasts?
In my opinion,
it does state in there that they're able to. I just don't think it's going to last more. I'm just give it 24 hours.
And I don't even know if it's going to last that long, man. Because look at this. All right. So urgent, schools closed. This is profile news, but I've seen it floating around a couple different places. People are all saying this crap, that the Minister of Education is announcing the closure of schools tomorrow. Now, it's important for people at home to understand that Hezbollah does have a part in the Lebanese government. So if Hezbollah is going to remain peaceful and the Lebanese army is going in between right now, which again, it's not supposed to start till 4 a.m. Why would they need to close schools? Now, Lebanon is supposed to deploy right around 5,000 soldiers down to the south and make it all the way up down to the Litani River. And they're supposed to make that buffer zone and push Hezbollah north of it. Make sure Hezbollah stays north. But last time I checked, there's a lot of Hezbollah trapped in between the IDF out over on like the western side and the south, right? Like they were completely and totally encircled. IDF doesn't have to immediately pull out. So what's that mean? Are we now going to start getting videos of Hezbollah marching out of that enclosed area along the coastline to go north of Litani? I freaking doubt it. So if they don't start putting down their arms and marching north, then does Israel have the right to go in and start schwacking them? Good question, right, Rob?
Well, I mean, you're not going to be able to know which one's which. I mean, they don't wear uniforms, so you're not going to know if they're. You're not going to know. Hey, look, there's a bunch of dudes marching over there. So
right, correct. They're like, you're not going to be able to know who it is, but for the love of God, like. I mean, let's be real here. Okay. So here's I'm going to put this video up and just let it play for a sec while you and I talk about this. You're right. We don't know, right? Like they are not going to know. The Lebanese military is not going to know. Excuse me. The Israeli military is not going to know whether or not it's Hezbollah that's laying down arms and pushing up north, but all of the civilians backed out. Like of all of the stuff that I've seen taking place inside southern Lebanon, hasn't been civilians being like trapped anywhere. It just hasn't been the case. I see entire villages that end up getting leveled because it was pure Hezbollah. Everybody else was able to leave. UNIFIL just kind of stood by and watched everything happen. So if that's the case, that means Hezbollah needs to lay down their arms in these encircled areas and start getting that hardball road up over on the coastline and marching their butt north of Litani, right? Israel still maintains its right to self-defense, and that includes proactive self-defense. So if they know Hezbollah is in there, again, lots and lots and lots of gunfights, lots and lots of heavy fights, there's a reason they ended up pushing up on the coastline, then that means Hezbollah has to walk the hell north. Do you think they're actually going to do that? Rob, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't think they are. I don't think they are at all. And I think that's going to result in more and more airstrikes, and they're just going to get more and more freaking upset. And eventually it's going to open right back up. If it was my guess on how that's going to happen, it's going to go down just like that. What do you, I mean, can kind of concur or no? What do you think?
I don't. I mean, Hezbollah hasn't actually publicly confirmed that it's going to be committing to these specific terms, by the way, just so you know.
That's also valid.
So they haven't come out and said, hey, look, we're going to do it. They haven't publicly said this.
No, they
it's
said
just coming from
they were going to review them, right?
Yeah, so it's going to review them. But I mean, Biden must feel pretty good because he'd look pretty stupid. Imagine he announces it and it doesn't even last 24 hours.
I doubt it will, to be perfectly honest with you.
So Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sport opinions into real money all season long with Prize Picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you guys play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in even if one of those players gets injured. If that player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You know why Prize Picks is awesome? Because it makes every single game interesting. Doesn't matter what you're watching. You don't want to. Who wants to watch the gosh dang Rams? Well, I do now because I got some money on the line. So download the app today and use code ROB. That is ROB to get $50 instantly after you guys play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use code ROB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Super easy, guys. Well, it may not be super easy for me, but it may be super easy for you. But go check them out. They'll be linked in the very top description. Thank you so much to Prize Picks for sponsoring this episode.
All right. So the IDF came out with a statement today, and they said this: 9 terrorist targets were part of Hezbollah's financial management systems, ended up getting struck in some airstrikes today. It took place over inside of Beirut, Sidon, Tyre, and Bekaa. All were struck by the Israeli Air Force. They said the targets included a storage facility, branches of the Al-Qard Al-Hassan Association, and the Al-Nasaf Money Exchange Office, which was used to fund Hezbollah's military activities. Now, surprisingly enough, these are like some of the better airstrike videos I think I've seen in a long time that ended up coming out of Lebanon. There's 4 main ones that we're going to go walk over. Check this one out. Like, did somebody just leave their cell phone down and walk away and then come back? It certainly looks that way. It's so stupid.
I mean, this camera was up on a tripod.
Right. It's because they announced their airstrikes beforehand, Rob. And then look at all that paper and stuff flying out of there. Like, I don't know if that was the bank with a bunch of money raining down the street, but like, dude, a couple months ago, they ended up doing an airstrike and they hit like more financial institutions. And there was literally people painting for gold, like picking gold up out of the rubble, like modern day Lebanese gold painting. It was hilarious.
Oof. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, look at that.
There it is. That was the one I was looking for. This video does show the location of where all those different airstrikes took place, and you can see them all the way down here in the south. Now, what's important to remember, like right down here where you see these 2 little dots down on the map right there, you see those? That's completely and totally like north of Israel, where they ended up conducting those airstrikes. So we know that Hezbollah is there. We've seen videos of Hezbollah launching rockets from Tyre itself, like geolocated down there. So they're all in there, right? Like, because that threat needs to go away in order to return the residents to the north. And that's where Netanyahu was getting pissed off today. I guess maybe not pissed off, but it was more or less part of his like speech and commentary was that, look, residents, like, I hear you guys down there. I know you guys are suffering. We definitely don't want you guys getting bombed anymore. And before we return you to the north, we got to make sure that this whole thing goes through. And he is adamant that regardless of what's going on, they're going to continue to do stuff like this. As long as Hezbollah continues to FA, they're going to end up FNO.
I mean, Netanyahu was pretty adamant though about this, the violation of the ceasefire conditions by Hezbollah. He's going to respond with extremely, really, it says great force. Now, what do you think? Do you think they already have pre-planned targets already in place? If it were to happen,
that Hezbollah does, or that Israel?
No. Israel. Do you think they already have pre-planned targets inside of Lebanon?
Yeah, for sure. Like 1000% that's going to happen.
I bet you they actually kind of hope it doesn't, because that'll just then they never have to actually have the conversation ever again about having a ceasefire, because it's came up so many different times. They're like, you know what, we'll try it. How about this? We'll try it. And then they'll just pound them to hell and back.
Like, I promise you that is going to go away. Like, if they slip up during this, like one tiny iota, and that war is still raging by the time Trump gets in there, that it's going to be done. So I told you guys that the IDF was going to keep pushing until they made it all the way up to the Litani River. And it looks like they, in fact, did that. As a matter of fact, they didn't just make it up to the Litani River. They ended up getting in firefights in the middle of the Litani River. Have you seen these ones yet, Miller? It's actually kind of cool. So they end up pushing up over here, like to the corner, and they're like clearing around it as they're going around. That's that bridge. Remember those still images from that bridge. And I remember being like, I know this is significant in some way, shape, or form. Why is that hole there? Like, what's going on with that? What they end up finding over there is like a multiple launch rocket system, and they ended up having to rig the whole thing with C4 and a couple other. But I mean, multiple videos of IDF troops that were like up over there operating and pushing along, and kind of clearing that entire area out. There was also kind of like some other propaganda pieces, in my opinion, that came out of there. But for the most part, I mean, we're seeing stuff like this coming out from inside the Litani. Now, why is this guy even wasting his time trying to disassemble that thing with a freaking Gerber? Did you see that?
I've seen it now. Yeah.
Like, why? Like, I'm rigging that SO, but like, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy here. It could have been to like loosen it up to pull some rockets out. I don't know, dude. It just, I don't know. Like, to me, that's like a just wrap the whole damn thing in C4 and walk away, you know? Like, whatever. But that's what they ended up doing.
Yeah, I remember this one actually.
Yeah, we showed this one earlier. They're like chucking a grenade and freaking clearing everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, again, this is all, and that to me appeared to be the exact same location, like that little where that rock ended up cutting down the cave. But it could have been, right? A little bit darker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they found a lot of crap in there, like all the way up and along it. But they ended up reaching and they ended up crossing. They said they were going to push, and it was in like a promo propaganda video. The guy was like, we're gonna step across. This is for Israel. This is for everybody. We're gonna go just a little bit further, and we're gonna hold tight. So I'd assume they kind of like pushed forward, established their little like limit of advance, and then just kind of like waited. You know what I mean? I am scared for the Lebanese military to do like a passage of lines, if you will, for the Israelis. Like, I really hope they end up not seeing them. And I wish I was a fly on the wall when I saw the Lebanese military finally come down and do what they should have been doing the entire time. I don't think we're ever going to see it, though. What do you think the odds are that when they end up swapping positions, that there is an exchange of gunfire between the Lebanese military and the Israeli Defense Force?
Not high.
You say that.
I don't think it's very high.
And the last thing that is very important to keep in mind, like before we go into this, is that the defense minister, the Israeli defense minister, ended up telling the UN that they are not going to allow Hezbollah to like regroup and rebuild anywhere near their border. And so that really means that Lebanon needs to be on its game and ensure that all of this happens. So we'll see where it goes from there. Rob, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. That's what I have as far as the war over inside of Lebanon goes. Ceasefire, sure. End of the conflict, not so much. I really don't think that's an accurate statement. I think that's more or less a political thing. I think it's pretty clear that Israel and Hezbollah are going to be duking it out sometime in the near future.
Now, with regards to what's going on inside of Ukraine, I'm going to tell you right now that the Russians are a little bit, they're still kind of pissed because they are stating out loud, the Ministry of Defense said, preparations for retaliatory action. Wow, that's a tough word for me to say. Retaliatory actions are underway. They got hit yesterday again with the ATACMS. They got hit Saturday with them. And Ukraine did target an airport inside of Kursk. One of the two actually did hit.
Wow.
That's all I know.
So Russia's claiming, hey, we're ramping, we're getting ready to attack you. It's going down.
That's what they say. But I mean, they have been making some ground, which we talked about this morning on the live. The Russians have been advancing the fastest they've advanced since the beginning of 2022. So they are doing something mainly inside the southern portion of the country and the northeastern side, and of course inside of Russia itself.
Didn't they lose some ground over around like Kupiansk or there? Did that happen? Did I
The
miss
Russians gained ground in Kupiansk. The Russians gained ground in their own country, and then they gained some down near Horvelika. So
that? Okay, well,
that's it.
that's why
what I got over
you're
there.
watching it, not me. Well, it was a heck of a day, man. Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. I think we're gonna see things pop off of, here in the near future. I don't really see this lasting. But if Israel's going to end up focusing on the Gaza Strip, more power to them. They did get a soldier killed over in northern Gaza Strip today. And I think maybe that's why Netanyahu is like, hey, this maybe might be an okay thing. But I also think maybe politically he's just riding this sucker out.
Well, you let me know. I'm here for you guys. I guess we'll see you guys here tomorrow, huh?
Yeah. Oh, dude, God, totally forgot. I gotta give credit where credit's due. Biden actually acknowledged that there was U.S. hostages inside of Gaza today. I totally forgot about that. Biden finally acknowledged in his rambling 11-minute bumbling speech that U.S. citizens were still being held inside of Gaza. Didn't say anything about the one that got killed a couple months ago inside of the tunnel in Rafah, but at least he acknowledged that there might be 5 left alive.
Well, good for him. I'm glad he's doing his biggest things at the end of his presidency. I'm so glad for it. Thank you so much, President Biden.
All right, guys. Appreciate you guys for joining us. We're out here.